Hey everybody, welcome to the Vault Reviews, where we give you our opinions on some albums to check out and maybe some ones to stay away from. I'm your host, Zan Morning, and Brent's with us once again to review another album, and today we're going to do one that's kind of maybe a little near and dear time period-wise to both of us. I actually had this album, Brent, I don't know if you did, but that's The Hard and Heavy Volume 1, and this came out in 1999. Do you remember this album?
I actually do. I didn't think I did, and then I saw the picture, the cover art, and I was like, yeah, I remember this. So
yeah, I think it was like a Best Buy exclusive or something, but this came out right as like metal was starting to get cool again, you know, late 90s, a lot of the new metal stuff coming out, but this isn't just a new metal album, and that's one thing I love about it. So right off the bat, what were your initial thoughts on this album?
Honestly, my original initial thought was, hey, I'm actually glad someone else remembers Puya.
Oh, yeah.
Because I actually had their album. I think it was their only album. They may have come out with another one. Forgive me if they had. I only remember the one. I actually kind of enjoyed it. It was the one the song on this is off of, which I thought was kind of cool. But this was kind of nostalgic for me. Because like I said, this was kind of whenever I started really getting into some of the heavier stuff was around about this time. I was into some of the hair metal and everything, but this is a little bit different. And so it was kind of nostalgic for me, really. But it was. I enjoyed it. It's a pretty good mix, actually.
And I thought, actually, it wasn't too bad even today. Here we are, you know, several years later, and a lot of this stuff was still kind of cool. One thing I absolutely loved, and we need to do a show on this later, is kind of the lost art or the lost packaging of compilations,
Yep.
You know, and soundtracks. I don't know about you, but back in the day, that's kind of what I went for, because I was like, okay, I can get so many bands I've never heard of for, you know, $10-15 as opposed to taking a chance on one band for 10 or 15 bucks. Do you feel the same way on the soundtracks and compilations?
Absolutely. I remember, what was it called? It was a pure death metal compilation. And I got it specifically because I was kind of starting to get into like some 6 Feet Under, some Cannibal Corpse, and some stuff like that. And I'm like, okay, this stuff is really cool, but I don't know anybody at all. And I found that, I think it was at Best Buy back whenever, you know, they actually had a tremendous, like, music selection. And I found this, and I mean, it's like 20, 30 songs, and it's all 20 or 30 different bands. And it's all death metal. And I mean, I found like so much cool stuff on there. I don't remember a lot of them now, but it was just, I was like, holy cow, this is really cool. And I mean, it just helps to open up everything. And I think I paid like $5 for it.
Yeah, they were most of the time really cheap.
Yeah, so I mean, it's fantastic. I love it. It lets you, you know, kind of get in and kind of get an idea on if you're going to kind of like something or not from a band, and then you can go check out the whole band. I mean, you know.
Yeah, so let's jump into this one. The best thing I can say about this is variety. You know, it is all kind of metal stuff, but I mean, you know, they'll just run down the different styles here. You kind of had the industrial electronic stuff with Ministry, Static X, Videodrone. Kind of had the stoner rock, Fu Manchu, Queens of the Stone Age. You had the straight up new metal stuff like Cold Chamber, Power Man 5000, Slipknot, if you want to throw them in there. You had the rap metal stuff, you know, Kid Rock when he first came out with the rock stuff, Limp Bizkit, POD. You had interesting experimental stuff. Amorphous, you know, coming out of you know, pretty much a death metal band originally, and then they evolved to what they are on this album. Neurosis, you know, we talked about them a little bit before we got on the air. You know, that they're definitely an experimental kind of band. And then you had some classic stuff, Megadeth, Nevermore, Motorhead, and Monster Magnet doing a cover of Gimme Danger by the Stooges, which is one of my favorite Stooges songs ever. I thought they did a good job covering this. So
They did.
You know, just a great variety, even though it's all metal. What are your thoughts on the variety and any bands I missed that you wanted to mention?
Honestly, the variety's pretty damn top-notch. I'm not a fan of Queens of the Stone Age. I never have been. And honestly, and this is not fair to them or to anybody who is a fan, but I'm just going to openly admit it, it's because of Guitar Hero and the song that was on there, because I got stuck on it and had to play it like, I don't know, felt like 6,000 times.
I could see that, and I think that might be a little understandable, yeah.
Yeah, and ever since then, it was just, oh God, Queens of the Stone Age, really? So like I said, that's probably not fair to them. If you like them, forgive me. But no, honestly, whenever you have like everything from Kid Rock to Sepultura and like Neurosis and even some Rob Zombie and stuff on there. One, like I said, I absolutely love seeing on there was Puya. I mentioned that at the beginning. It was a band that I don't really know why I liked them. I guess I went into this weird kind of Latin metal phase and, found them and they were pretty cool. They had a couple songs. What was it, like Oasis or whatever it was called?
I don't remember the names of the songs, but I'm with you. I liked them when they came out.
Yeah, and, I've always been a big Nothing Face fan. I enjoy Nothing Face. This isn't one of my favorite songs by them, but it's a good song. Amorphous is always fun to listen to. And did you listen to the Orange 9mm song?
Yeah, I think I actually used to like it more than I did re-listening to it, if that makes sense.
Right. I don't know that I've ever actually listened to it. If I had, I honestly don't remember. And I didn't really care for it. But the fact that it's like a spoken word kind of track on this Hard and Heavy, I thought was very interesting. I mean, I thought it was pretty cool. At least to include it, not that it was like a good song in my opinion, but it was just an interesting mix to have on there. Honestly, it's still one of my favorite songs. The album that it's on is one of the greatest albums I think in metal, and that's Seven Dust and the song Black that's on here.
Yep.
I absolutely love that first album of Seven Dust, and getting to hear that again during the review it's always fun, even though I actually listen to it kind of frequently still.
So one thing I wanted to get your thoughts on is going back and listening to this and reviewing this stuff that we used to listen to years ago. Do you think that a lot of these bands on here got the new metal tag attached to them, maybe even if they're not new metal, just because they were putting out new music in this era? And the other question is, did you enjoy listening to a lot of this stuff? I know you already touched on some of it, but overall, what are your thoughts on re-listening to this stuff all these years later?
Looking back on it, a lot of the stuff, some of it I look back and it's like, well, it was kind of weird that I liked that, because it's really not just very good music. I mean, some of it's not. Even like the Puya song, I know I've mentioned it like 16 times already. Honestly, there's nothing ground-shattering. It's nothing that's just fantastic musically. But there's something still about it. There's just a soft spot there. Maybe because it was like one of the first bands that I bought, and everyone else is like, who the hell's that? What, you don't know these guys? They sing in Spanish.
Yeah.
And anyways, I mean, that's probably not good. But honestly, some of that, some of it shows its age, especially like the Kid Rock song, the I Am the Bull God, which I loved when it came out. Looking back, I'm not a big fan.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think a lot of it didn't stand up very well. The first thing that came to my mind was the Power Man 5000 song. Yeah. And then Kid Rock. Those were two that going back and listening to it, I was like, these are pretty terrible. Right. But then it kind of, like Nevermore, I always loved them on here. I've always loved Ministry. It was cool seeing them on here, and they're definitely not new metal. They've been around for a few decades now.
Right.
And I think this is still just a really awesome album and an awesome idea. I would not think twice to hand this album to somebody. Here, check all these bands out. Oh, it's right. New metal bands from 1999. Well, who cares? Check it out. There's like 30 different bands on here. Get to know them, see if there's even one you like. Because if you can come out of the compilation and you love one band, then it's worth it. So what was maybe your favorite song or band on here? I know you mentioned some already, but if you had to pick one.
My favorite on here, honestly, Seven Dust, hands down. No questions. And it's mainly just that album they had is just... I never saw that it getting the respect that it truly deserves. I mean, and honestly, I hate some of this because, like, this Stain song they picked on here wasn't a very good one on that album. Mm-hmm. It honestly did not hold up well at all, which is probably why Aaron Lewis is now pretending he's a country boy.
I like how you say pretending.
Yeah. The Nothing Face song I thought stood up pretty good. And like I said, I've always been kind of a Nothing Face fan. I mean, I'm not a huge, but I've always enjoyed it whenever I've listened to them. the Megadeth, I mean, the Anarchy in the UK, it's pretty cool. But there again, I mean, who hasn't? I mean, we should do a Anarchy in the UK version. I mean, everybody else has. Good God.
Yeah, good point.
But the Neurosis song is really good, and honestly, I'd forgotten all about Fu Manchu, and that song's freaking awesome.
So overall, what would you give this album as far as the rating? Classic vault rating, 1 star being the worst, 5-star being the best.
I'm going to give it a 3, just because there's some really good stuff on it. Like you said, it's something that if somebody's, kind of looking for some, different bands and everything, it's something you can really give it to them. Some of it has not aged worth a crap, honestly. But yeah, it's a good, solid compilation. I'm like you. I think compilations have become very underrated here lately. I mean, maybe they make more than I think. I don't know. I don't see them anymore. But I mean, I would give it a good 3 because there's still some really good songs on here and some good bands that maybe some people haven't really given a chance yet.
We're not too far off then. I'm going to give this 3 3/4, and the reason why is I actually liked listening to a lot of this stuff all these years later. Here, I think most people want to say, well, you don't want to, generally you're not going to like what you listened to when you were a kid because it's like old or stale or not cool now. But there's actually some really cool stuff on here. You can't go wrong with Seven Dust, and that was also one of my favorite songs, and I still think they're awesome, and that song is still awesome. Surprisingly, I thought that about a lot of these songs. A lot of them are still awesome. A lot of these bands are still going, and a lot of them are still putting out good quality music. So 3 3/4, and you gave it a 3.
Yeah, good solid 3.
No, we're just gonna call this 3.5. Close enough. I'm not gonna get too crazy with these fractions here. I don't know anything about math. Go ask Dillinger Estate Plan. Yeah, so definitely something to check out. You could probably get this album for like $1. I mean, especially on eBay. If you're ever looking for cheap CDs, eBay, Amazon, you can find out. Nobody likes CDs anymore for whatever reason. I still don't have a problem with them. But you could probably check this one out for a couple bucks, and I think it's worth it. Would you say so? A couple bucks?
Yeah, definitely.
All right, so thanks for listening to this review, and you can check out all our other reviews, send us review ideas, and anything else you want to say to us. TheVaultMusic1@gmail.com. Check us out on Twitter @TheVaultMusic1, Facebook.com/TheVaultRVWS. We're on Podomatic. We're on YouTube. Anything else you want to hear, let us know, and check out all of our older shows and our older reviews. With that, until next time, see ya.
Peace.